Oh, wait, let me switch the view. Hey, everybody, welcome in. It's Jeff and Bryan with you. Another episode of something.
Yeah.
Maybe Trust the Tape. Bryan Broaddus, 105.3 The Fan. My name is Jeff Cavanaugh from DLLS Cowboys podcast. It's good to see you guys. Did you know it's draft season if you're out there? You know? Like I was thinking this morning, we're gonna do our little show, and man, I should really make sure I know exactly what's going on with the football team. And then I realized that I don't care. And then I just they're going to play the Commanders Sunday. They're going to lose, and we'll get right back around to talking about everything that's wrong with the team and how we're going to fix it. So good morning, Bryan. It's nice to see you.
Good morning, Jeffrey. You do get some players back this week, though.
Yeah, Cooks, maybe?
No, you get Cooks back. Bland's coming back. You're going to get your rookie defensive end back. You've got some bodies that are going to come back and be a part of this. So be a little bit on the pitch count. But yeah, at least it's going to be different looking bodies out there, defensively. We'll see what happens with Zach Martin. I tried to ask questions about Zach Martin, and I go like, well, what ailment would you like to talk about? The ankles, the knee, everything that he's dealing with right now. There's a lot going on in Zach Martin's world. You should be able to have Tyler Smith back at left guard. He went out of the game the other day, but Zach Martin's the one I would kind of keep an eye on as a Cowboy fan and see how that one plays out. The Commanders have got a couple of some good defensive tackles. They lost Jonathan Allen for the season due to a pec injury he had against the Ravens. So, Newton, the rookie from Illinois, is filling in for him. But, you're also, Deron Payne is really, really good. And they figured out some things with their pass rush with Fowler has been outstanding. Armstrong has been good for them. And Frankie Louvu has been really good. Frankie Louvu, he's a linebacker they got from the Carolina Panthers, and he's always been around the ball, and they're using him. Joe Witt and Dan Quinn are using him like they use Michael Parsons. It's kind of the same kind of a role. They have him as a stand-up guy. He'll mainly rush through the middle of the pocket, but he's been pretty good for them, when it comes to sacking people and so providing pressure. Their offense, I think, is better than their defense, but they finally found a quarterback who can get the ball to their playmakers. And a guy like Zach Ertz has kind of had a rebirth in his career. We always felt like that when Zach Ertz left Philadelphia, went to Arizona, he was left for dead there, came to the Commanders, and has kind of found a fountain of youth, if you want to say, with the Commanders in this offense. And so, good for him. Terry McLaurin is a really good player. They throw the ball down the field. I mean, the quarterback's really accurate throwing the ball down the field. Hasn't rushed the ball as much lately since the injury. We'll see every week he might be getting a little healthier. And so that's what you always have to worry about. The Cowboys struggle with teams that have a quarterback that has that ability to run. Just looking at metrics and watching the tape, Dallas has got to be worried about him running to their left side. He runs right. That's his main escape. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia did a really nice job of not allowing him to escape the pocket. But this kid's really accurate, and he's got a couple of weapons he throws it to, and they got a good running game with Brian Robinson. So I can see why they have the record they do and why they're battling the Eagles for a division lead right now.
It's I'll be happy and excited to get Marshawn Nealon back, because I think just getting him a bunch of football played and
I agree.
Him be healthy is important for where they are right this second and for where they're hopefully going. I think getting Deron Bland back is important. Unfortunately, though, the important part for him would be to help your pass defense right now, and I don't want him to, Bryan. So what I need Deron Bland to do is just be real careful. Make sure you're feeling okay. Take your time. What if
he's taking his time. He's taking mainly the whole year. Jeff, I really do believe this. I think with the way with no Dak Prescott, no semblance of a running game,
You
an
could lose
offensive
anyway.
line. Yeah, yeah. You're just naturally going to find a way. In close games, you're going to be within a touchdown. In games like the Texans and the Saints and the Ravens, well, the Ravens was closer. Detroit, you're not, those games you're going to, your defense is probably going to get wore down because Cooper Rush can't make enough plays. You can't make enough plays. You can't score enough points. You're going to have, they're resorting to fake punts and things like that to try and steal possessions, but they just naturally, the way that they're playing football, they're broken. They're broken with injuries. They're broken with scheme. They're broken with their coaches. They really are. They're just, it's not a very good team. It's a team that I know I've said this maybe on another platform or two. I feel sad in the way that I maybe led people the wrong way about this football team coming out of Oxnard.
Yeah,
And
you're
maybe,
a jerk. Yeah.
and maybe, maybe that's something that, you not trying to sell hope, but hey, this position's going to look okay. This one, they're counting on this guy. And, but when they do the autopsy on this thing, it's not going to be just one thing. It's going to be several things that went wrong for this football team. And, I do feel bad that I'm like, wasn't ahead of the game on, wow, this offensive line really is going to struggle. That right tackle is not going to be good enough. The right guard is breaking down. It's a big learning curve for the left tackle. There's just, and then defensively, boy, they're going to have a lot of injuries, and they're not going to be able to, Carson's going to play well at corner for him, filling in, and da-da-da-da-da. And it really hasn't materialized like I know they thought, and I thought as well. And so when you go into these things like in the coming years, they're about to lose. They lost a lot of depth last year. They're about to lose a lot of depth again this year, if you just look at the names that are on that list. So this thing might not be the schedule, if they get, a really favorable schedule, which they will for not winning enough games. But it's going to be, I don't know if they have enough ammunition to completely do what they need to do. They're going to have to do something in free agency, and it's probably not day one free agency, but they're going to have to do something because they're about to lose. If you just go on over the cab.com and look at the guys who are free agents, it's guys, it's the Jordan Lewises and guys like that you're kind of relying on to make plays for you. And you're going to have to, I could see Jordan Lewis has played well enough that somebody out there is going to love his toughness, love his tackling ability, love a lot of things about him. And I could see somebody, the Cowboys not trying to nickel and dime him. And he says, no, I'm going to go off and play with somebody else.
That is kind of anytime anybody asks me about a Cowboys player that they like that's going to be a free agent, like, is he going to be back? And my answer is generally,
Diggy as well.
If no one else wants them, then probably, and that's going to be the challenge for the Cowboys this offseason. And I hope that they will do things differently. And I hope they'll do things differently for a reason that actually makes sense with Jerry Jones. And that reason is I saw a bunch of empty seats and more red than blue in the stadium. And I think that's the sort of thing that eventually could make Jerry do something different. Because to your point, if you do bottom of the barrel free agency and a draft again, I can tell you how the team's going to be next year.
Yeah, you're
going to suck again.
Yeah. I think, Jeff, I don't know. To me, ticket sales are part of ticket sales. Where
they're already sold. He don't care.
Where Jerry Jones gets hurt is if all of a sudden he doesn't get hundreds of millions of dollars from TV revenue. And the way that they're collectively agreed their TV contracts, they all share. Whether you're the top team on television or you're the worst team, you get an equal share of the pie. And, the way they collectively and the salary cap and stuff will always make sure that these owners don't lose money. And Jerry Jones will, by the way that the league now, there was a time when I first started in the league, NFL Properties gave you $8 million for all your T-shirt sales and jacket sales and all that. Jerry Jones said, screw that. You kidding me? I can sell $8 million worth of T-shirts in a weekend. Don't, you're not going to limit me from doing this. There will be ways, we talk about hurting his pocketbook. The only way you hurt his pocketbook is if collectively the league does not maintain the level of popularity it has on TV. That's what pays their bills. Ticket sales are part of it, but it's not the majority of the way they make their money. It's the hundreds of millions of dollars they make on these games that we watch every week.
But I think it's also with Jerry, a part of it is not just the dollar amounts, but the relevance and headlines that come from his team. Like, I think Jerry very purposely will find ways to make sure that his team is what people talk about on the national talk shows, even on a bye week. Like, he'll make sure of it. And this is the most indifferent / apathetic.
He doesn't have to worry about that, though. He really didn't have to worry about that, Jeff, because if his team's good, they talk about him. If his team's bad, they talk about him. They'll lead off this morning. I was watching, Get Up, the show with Mike Greenberg and all those guys. I was flipping through the channels real quick, just seeing what was on. And, I'm watching, and then the tease is who messed it up more, Woody Johnson with the Jets or Jerry Jones with the Cowboys.
Okay. So they find a way to do it. They find
every day. Get Up, and it's got to the point where you get guys like Scott Van Pelt, who is a Washington, Virginia, Maryland area guy, and I think and so it's like he did a podcast one time, and he's like, it's the same shit every day, it's the same shit every day about the Cowboys and with Jerry Jones, and you talk about him and you go through the schedule and you talk about the wins, you talk about the loss, and then we get, Kyle Brandt on, Good Morning Football. His bosses are NFL owners. The NFL owns, the NFL network, which he works for. Kyle Brandt's up there bitching about, like, why do we have to talk about the Cowboys every day?
And then he went home and made a video about the Cowboys on his Twitter account. So Kyle Brandt, you're full of shit.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, though. And then, you've got people that, like, they could complain about the Cowboys all day. It drives ratings for them. Jerry Jones being on the Fan drives ratings for us. National rate. People that might not have listened, maybe they don't listen except when Jerry Jones comes on. Maybe national media, they make a point to, like, oh, Jerry's on at 10:30 today. Got to listen. Got to see what craziness Jerry's going to say today. He's got this thing really wired where whether his team is good or bad, they still talk about him. And that's you have to, he is going to take all the arrows from you and Clarence Hill and me and Aisha Morrison.
I never talk negatively about Jerry.
But I'm just saying as a media. I'm just saying
yell at Jerry daily now.
Yeah, I just say as a media, we talk about it, and he's okay with that. He's getting a little bit more sensitive about it, but in just overall, we can't hurt him. We can only hurt him if we stop. If advertisers say we're not paying $6 million a minute for a commercial at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can hurt Jerry Jones, because everything else, the way it's all structured, keep talking about him. Keep talking about me. You're good. We're good. Now, I have a feeling there'll be a day where Stephen Jones won't be Jerry Jones, that we won't see him out there. Yeah. I don't know.
I think they'll be worse.
Okay. From a football standpoint, maybe.
Right.
But from a media, we have to be ringling. We have to be P.T. Barnum and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing.
Right.
No. That ain't going to happen. He's going to fade into the real role of trying to be the general manager of this team. And I know that that's terrifying to a lot of people, So.
Yeah. It is. And like Jerry, the last thing that got me was he talks about parody all the time in the NFL and how it's a great thing. And it is. It's great for business, right?
It is. It's absolutely great.
If it was a misspeak, then it's fine. But if it wasn't a misspeak, hold on to your pants. They're going to suck for a while.
Oh, sure.
And he was like, and the whole idea is that through the draft and the waiver wire, you should be able to compete. And I'm like, no. That's not, you skipped two very important things, and they're free agency and trading. And if you really think that you can just pick the guys that you're allowed to pick and then keep them around and you can be competitive, you're wrong. You have to get super lucky.
Watch how much money he spends in college free agency this year. Every year he spends, he is more than willing to give Span Ford and others $250,000.
You could have drafted him 45 minutes earlier.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But see, that's the whole idea. Chris Hall and those guys do a good job of keeping the draft board the way it is, but that is the first line of attack for them. They're not interested in going out and getting a guy, from another team. They're not interested in that. They're interested in, like, we're going to draft, and whatever college free agents we still have on our draft board in the 6th, 7th round, those are the first guys we're going to attack, and we're going to overspend to go get guys like that. We're going to compete for guys like that because we're going to completely overpay in that area. And they've hit on some, and they haven't hit on others. But they've spent a lot of money on that part of it. They don't spend money in free agency. They spend money on college free agents. That's their plan of attack. But
that's why they're here. I mean, that's how they got here.
Yeah, this roster is going to be really interesting because, like I said, now we're about to have the second wave of depth leaving this football team. And how do you replace how do you replace that depth? Because they really didn't replace the first time they lost depth.
At all.
Yeah, at all.
They lost what, probably 8 or 9, not necessarily starters, but real contributors.
Oh, Fowler. Yeah, you watched the Commanders. Fowler was a backup guy. Armstrong. Those two guys are playing meaningful snaps for a good Commanders football team. They, 8 sacks, 4 sacks. I mean, it's two guys that they've done a really good job for the Commanders. And this time around, the Cowboys will probably lose Oso Digizua. They'll probably lose
Tank Lewis.
Yeah. They'll lose all those guys. And now the trick is, can you replace them all? And in actuality, probably can't.
Well, I think that they'll say they got it covered. We got some guys here and some young guys that are ready for this opportunity.
That was the mistake we all made leaving Oxnard, that we really, really believed that the draft 2 years ago is killing them right now.
Yeah.
That draft's killing them right now.
If you don't use free agency and you miss on the draft, you're dead.
Yeah. Schoonmaker played better this game. I mean, it was, but Schoonmaker was down to only getting 3 offensive snaps a game. And then Ferguson has the concussion. By the way, Ferguson's not going to play this week. And here's another little note. The Commanders, they have a real problem covering tight ends in the red zone. They've given up 5 touchdowns to tight ends in the red zone this year.
Let's go, Scooney.
So somebody's got to step up there. But
Scooney.
Yeah, but this is where we're at with this team, and it's probably going to not be as, when you go in there and you're like, well, every time we say, oh, well, this young guy got to go to the next level, got to step up, got to do, Tolbert got to step up, Steele got to step up, and they really haven't, and that's why your football team is 3-7.
Yes, we're having a great time. But the good news about being 3-7, as long as you can keep it up, stay on pace, stay the course, get it right, do everything that you can to win a football game, but not be good enough to win a football game.
They're not good enough to win a football game right now.
We get to pick in the top 10.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Todd Archer put it out on ESPN. There's a top 80-something% chance, 83% chance you're picking in the top 10. And then, I learned the other day through one of our listeners in the postgame show that these teams that are all ahead of you play each other. Like, the
Tennessee and Jacksonville play each other.
Jacksonville play each other. The Jets and New England play each other. There's going to be some. So, maybe somehow, some way this thing could find you in the top 5. My guess it's going to be somewhere between 5 and 10. That would be my guess right now.
And I think that'll be a lot of fun. I mean, it'll be fun for us to be able to talk about potentially you could have the first offensive lineman, the first defensive lineman, maybe even the top pass rusher, like all of these different spots. And that is a lot of – I've watched the receivers so far, Brian, and I'd like to make a prediction.
I just was going to ask you because you haven't seen any of the offensive tackles yet, because that's a big phobia of yours.
No, I'm fine with them. I'll get to it, but I like me some receivers.
Yeah, right? you've watched. I'm sure you've watched. Oh, I've watched 20 players and they're all receivers. I'm sure that's what you've done.
I won't get past. I will watch no more than 8 receivers before I watch. No, actually, today I'm watching.
That's so wrong, Jeff. Don't lie to your fans like this.
Today I've watched 3 receivers, and today I'm watching Georgia's defense.
Okay.
Because you know who I want to be awesome? Starks, the safety. Because you know who I'm obsessed with in the NFL right now, who got underdrafted because he didn't go run like a 4.3?
Who's that?
Bryan Branch is effing awesome. And he always was. But he was an average-sized guy that was an average athlete, and he was just awesome at football.
Jesus
and I
Christ,
want all
Jeff.
of that on my team, so I can't wait to watch the Georgia safety because I hope he's him.
We never talked. You and I never talked about Bryan Branch.
We talked about him. No, we talked about him. I just mean that he was one of those guys that, in the top 10, teams would shy away from that because he wasn't a great athlete guy. He was just awesome football player. And so he could have been he should have been a top 10 pick based on how good he was at football, but he wasn't, because when you pull up his athletic chart, it's like, yeah, pretty average, but he's awesome. And so I'm waiting to see if I can find those guys on the defense, because I don't think I'm going to get any of the receivers I've watched so far. I only would pick one of them with a top 10 pick. The other two probably not. And so I got to find me some defensive guys.
Doesn't have great length, but sure packs a punch when he delivers a blow. Is an outstanding around the line of scrimmage. Can use him in several different ways. Plays the star position for the Crimson Tide. Is effective as a tackler. Will wrap his man up in a hurry. Attacks the pocket as a blitzer. Will run over blockers in order to get to the quarterback. Has a feel for how to get up in the air and deflect passes. Can be disruptive. Like the way he's always around the ball. Is the type of player that makes things happen. Knows how to play in coverage on the outside. We'll see him even play in the slot, can carry the receiver up the field, will drive on the ball and play the slant. Really plays with his offhand well, can high point the ball when it comes his way. There's a toughness to his game that I really appreciate. Lack of height might turn scouts off, but really shows the ability to make a ton of plays.
Yeah.
It's Bryan Branch.
Yeah.
I think that might be the only player I got right that draft in.
Yeah.
I love Bryan Branch. I mean, and you're right. And I think you're going to not find – I'm not going to say it. I said it already. I don't think
that he's not the same guy?
Not the same guy. Stark's
That's all right. I'll find guys.
Stark's a good player, though. He is a good player. I know that Dane has him really pumped up on his board pretty high. Good football player. Really good football player. What I'm interested in seeing is what you think about Walker, the linebacker, and then Williams, the edge. Okay. Those are the guys I'm interested to see, but I don't feel like that Starks is a good player. I don't think he's Bryan Branch. I don't think he is.
All right, I'm gonna find a guy. You know what I'm worried about a little bit?
What's that?
Is that maybe this draft kind of sucks?
I don't know, man. I was kind of happy with the ability if I'm in the top 5, and maybe we'll see how it shakes. Hunter.
Travis Hunter's amazing. I'll take Travis Hunter in a heartbeat.
McMillan, Carter. Do you like Carter from Penn State?
Oh, I've only seen him in live games so far. I haven't seen him. I was talking about McMillan, and I think McMillan's good. I think he helps your team. I'm just like, top 5, really?
I'll tell you what, man. I would take Hunter, but I really do. I know I asked you to watch the Missouri kid, Burden.
I did. Yep,
he's a good player.
I like him a lot. I like him
the run after catch, the toughness about him. I mean, if you're looking, I was encouraged. I mean, this Ashton Genty, is the runner at Boise. I haven't looked at all the runners, and people are telling me there's a lot of good runners, but Genty is one of the best players I've seen in this draft. I'll tell you another kid. And it's a shame, and I'm gonna mess up his name. Is that Shaven Revell, the cornerback from East Carolina?
Wait, how are you on November 21st watching corners from East Carolina?
This kid was before this kid hurt his knee. He was one of the top corners in the country.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no, I've watched 25 players already, Jeff. Here we are.
Yeah. Well, no, I just remember when you said you'll start on December 1st. That's all. I just remember when you said you'd start on December 1st. Now you're getting ahead of me, and I can see the judgment in your eyes. You're judging me because I'm not caught up to you.
Not judging you, Jeff, but you better get your ass going here, man, because we're going to start talking about this stuff.
I see it in your eyes.
You, me, Aisha Morris. We're going to start talking about this stuff. You guys better get on your horse.
Georgia defenders are up today. I'll be up to 6 guys.
I'll be interested. I'll tell you what, too. People are going to hate me for saying this. These 2 Michigan defensive tackles are good. This Kenneth Grant from Michigan, it's a good player. 2 Michigan defensive tackles. But I keep telling everybody it's not the same scheme. Wink Martindale, former coordinator with the Ravens, the Giants, now with the Michigan Wolverines, plays a different front. These players are playing differently. When you watch them play, like I say, this Kenneth Grant, he's better than Mozzie in college. Better
Mozzie
than
never did anything. Like, he had no production in the backfield whatsoever. He was
better than Mozzie, better than Chris
bad
Jenkins,
O-linemen.
better than Mozzie and Chris Jenkins, the last 2 that we've seen come out of Michigan at defensive tackle. Better, they have better players. Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant are 2 legitimate defensive tackles in this draft from Michigan.
All right, we'll have to see if this guy named Muttface is giving real names or fake names. I have no idea who that is, but we'll find out later. How about that? Thanks.
Yeah.
We now did a $2 show. We've now been paid. We're crushing. What's up?
I'll tell you what, man, that was but yeah, that's there's some good defensive tackles in this draft. The kid Harmon from Oregon is a good player too.
Okay.
So
got some guys?
Yeah.
Got some guys?
Yeah. Talik Williams, Ohio State, another one. Walter Nolan, Ole Miss. Man, there's some defensive tackles. But this Chevin Revell, I think as I said his name right, he's a corner from East Carolina. He tore his ACL early in the season. This cat's a real deal player. I mean, I had to go back and watch the 20, and I see why people had him high up the board. But he is a real deal corner. And so if you're looking for those kinds of guys,
I'm looking for a real deal corner that can also be my second best wide receiver, Brian.
That kid right there, that kid at Colorado kind of fits the bill for that.
We got to lose. I need these losses. I need
Hunter. Does he go first overall?
I bet if I had to.
I mean, we had to watch all these players, and you
right. But just from what other people are saying and what people think about the quarterback class, quarterback is so important that I think the odds would probably be that it's a quarterback, whoever it may be. But I get the feeling that like people aren't sold on any of these quarterbacks. So
I've seen people with
Travis Hunter goes number 1.
I've seen people with Milroe up there as like the first guy, and I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know. But, man, he's playing a lot better. He is playing a lot better. Alabama's playing better as a team right now. So
maybe somebody takes a quarterback first and Hunter, like there's no way he gets past like 3. So we got to get on our horse.
Yeah. Hell of a player, man. God, I love him. I really do. I don't know, man. I'm kind of excited about some of these players in that I've seen so far. I really am. I think that I will say this. I know that there's a corner from Michigan again, Will Johnson, that people are talking about. Man, if this Revell was healthy, I'd take him so much over that Michigan kid right now.
Aren't you trying to take some hurt guys, huh? You're trying to take us some hurt guys, are you?
That's the Dallas Cowboy way, bro.
That's in the second round. That's the Blue Star Special. Second round.
I'm just telling you, man. This kid. I say this on November 21st. I say that kid is going to be a hell of a player. If you thought Brian Branch was good, this Revell kid is really, really good too.
Second round pick.
I've never seen a corner, play with the toughness that he plays with on the goal line. They're playing Michigan, and like Michigan is running the power eye going off the left, and this kid steps up at the goal line and just stuffs the back. And you're like,
watch some psychos at corner. We've watched some psychos. I'm trying to remember who they are, but we've watched some psychos.
Wasn't our guy? What was our guy from Clemson? Tank McKistery or something like that. One of those. When there went a guy McKistery.
I mean, we had Desmond King at Iowa was a psycho.
Desmond King was a psycho.
The Illinois kid Witherspoon was a psycho.
You're right about that.
We've had some good psychos.
We sure
and that's why I like Luther Burden so much, the receiver at Missouri, because I feel like people, if you're a DB and he's caught 3 screens in this game or whatever, and he's running at you again, you're just like, I don't want to tackle this dude again.
Yeah, he is impressive. I mean, I think he's the perfect height for a wide receiver too. I know the kid McMillan from Arizona is like 6'5", but to me,
I hate tall people.
Like I say, Burden is just like, he's just perfect. I mean, he's just perfect the way he looks and the way he runs. I just that would be a pet cat dude right there for sure. Look at those Georgia kids.
I'm looking at the Georgia kids, Brian.
Tell me what you think about Jalen Walker and Mikael Williams and and Starks, the safety. All those.
I'm on it. I'm on it. Go have yourself a day. Thanks to everybody that's here. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And remember that you have no idea what anyone's going through. So be cool to everyone. We love you. Be easy or else. That's not a threat. See if I can find the end button.